What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All You Can Eat Warriors. And I mean All You Can Eat Warriors because there's so much news that has just dropped on us in the last couple of hours. We're running around chasing our tails, guys, but it's going to be an incredible show. And of course, we had to bring on the brother Joshy. This is your third show in a row now, brother. First teamer, what are you talking about here?
Hey man, I feel like I'm taking my Adam Pompey chance. You know, like last year, got into the team, didn't get out. I'm here to stay.
I love to see it, brother. Obviously, you know, all the community out there absolutely adore you, brother. You know, you're doing a great job and all that. It's so good to have you on there. Obviously, Levon, unfortunately, is tied up due to work commitments. Unfortunately, as you would know, last night we didn't have a show, but we got an All You Can Eats tonight. And guys, also, if you missed out any other content on Wise Up TV, make sure you go back and watch it over on Wise Up TV. But we got a crazy, crazy show for you guys. First of all, I want to go through the chat right now. Thank you so much to everyone coming through. First comment here, Barnett and Fisher Harris name as how should be the Money Bros. That's awesome, bro. Yeah. We will definitely go through the captaincy, our thoughts on that. That's the first thing we're going to be touching on today. But first of all, we'll go through everyone else. 100%. Jazzy with the agree. Good to see you, Jazz, as always. The toilet inspector, as always, coming through. Hi, everybody. Josh Macklin, what's up? Let's go, baby. Let's go. Warriors forever. Ash, surely you can play wing, brother. Bro, I played all around the back line growing up, but I'm not good enough to be on the wing for the Warriors, bro. I'd be worse than Gossy out there at the moment, to be honest. Let's be honest out there. Oh, don't do that to me, Joshy. Don't do that to me. Let's go through something positive.
That was a drive-by. Hold on.
Oh, so down. Anyway, guys, we will get through all the little news going on, the teamless news that are out there. Obviously, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, brand new news, breaking news out there on Dallin and that. But let's go through something a little bit more positive right now. I think it's a very good positive move. Overall, we'll definitely discuss that. But we got co-captaincy here, guys. James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett will be the new Bash Bros. I'm so sorry, Moses Leota. We stole your brother and brought him over here, and we paired him up with another Bash Bro in Mitch Barnett, brother. What's your thoughts on this one? I think it was definitely the obvious decision. Other than RTS, maybe it was getting thrown up there. I could definitely see the argument for that, but these two in the middle, I think they're going to create some really shaky front row pairings in the future coming over to Mount Smart. That people are going to be scared coming to Mount Smart now, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like both of them were such clear-cut options. It was hard to choose one over the other, and I think it's real cool that we decided to go with both of them. I know we didn't do a leadership group I think it was Ivan Cleary of the 2017 Tigers or something like that.
Yeah, the five
co-captains. Yeah, we just stuck with the two, but I think they're the two that will really lead us around the park, and some lead through words like Mitch, and then leading through actions like James. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how we go this year with those two. Yeah,
I think they were definitely the right decision overall, just judging off last year, Mitch Barnett taking over the captaincy when Tohu went down, and the year that he's been, the couple of years he's actually been with us, he's definitely been a standout, and really showed off the amount of Webby's coaching ability overall, bringing the best out of certain players like this, because Mitch Barnett coming over from Newcastle Knights, a lot of people probably looked a little bit opposite ways with this move, but he's now made himself into a New South Wales Blues bench front rower, possibly could get a starting spot if he continues to push this year, and obviously making the Australian squad. He's definitely well deserved to get the captaincy of the New Zealand Warriors, even though he's an Aussie. Do you obviously, me being an Aussie based New Zealand fan, I'm an Aussie boy, right? For the Kiwi fans out there, do you have any sort of say there, or your thoughts on an Aussie being a captain? Is that really a worry, or are you guys past all that sort of stuff at the moment?
I don't know. I think it's softening the blow a little bit with obviously having James there, so it's not he's full Aussie captain. It was interesting seeing some of the photos before the trial last week of Mitch carrying I can't remember what it's called, but what Tohu used to carry all the time, into our matches. Seeing him carry that, I was like, man, I feel mana through him. So I think he's one of those ones that it's just mana pours out of him, even though he's not Kiwi.
I also did think he showed a little bit of respect to it as well. It looked like he was a little bit should I hold this? Am I able to hold this? First of all, I'm sure for a moment when I was watching the cameras in the background, he was hunting for fish when he had it in his hands, because I think he was trying to give it like, that sort of like look at it, but like, overall, he's a great football player. He's performed well on the football pitch. I think that's good enough for me to be a captain of a football club, whether it's New Zealand, Australian. Like, we're all together, right? We're all human beings overall. But I do understand there is cultural stuff there too, right? Like, where you don't want to push too much on that. And then Fisher Harris, obviously getting the captaincy. Let's talk about that cultural side of things, right? Him moving back over to New Zealand due to, him wanting to be back with his family. Obviously, the other personal reason that was going on with his life too, with passing away of some really big members of his family, obviously. Him coming back, getting the captaincy of New Zealand Warriors, obviously the only team in New Zealand, the culture that's around the club. Like, what's your feeling around that? Fisher Harris being the Kiwi captain, now New Zealand Warriors captain, the Mana, bro, right? The Mana.
Yeah, he is just the right choice. And like you said, he's just Mana. That's like the one word to describe James Fisher Harris for me is Mana. And so to see him be made captain of, the New Zealand Warriors, or the one New Zealand Warriors, but the only New Zealand team in the competition, that to me is like, like so proud, right? Like this guy who is, again, the epitome of a warrior. I know he's been like overseas at the Panthers, for the last however many years of his career, but to see him come home and have, so much respect for what the Warriors are building, and and so much of that yearning to come home. It's so cool to then see him take that captaincy and take that on, like, just head on and go, look, I'll run this with you. Him and Mitch obviously have a great partnership, and they've been obviously working together in New Bash Bros. It's gonna be a good season up front, man. I don't think we're losing too much. I think we're gaining now.
Yeah, bro. If any of you guys got me on TikTok, obviously, and also my YouTube channel, I chucked it up a YouTube short. I did a quick little clip on this, and my first impression, obviously, was this shows kind of the vision for the club in the future. Two front rollers being the captains of the club, two defensive leaders, I believe anyway, two Bash brothers, as we continue to say. Like, they play with aggression, but they play hard, they train hard. I think this is the whole thing with the Warriors now. It's more of the fact of Webby's trying to pivot us to this sort of look of like anyone that trains really hard, everyone that works out hard on the football field, obviously bringing over players like, Kate, well, that's a hard worker and all that. Jackson Ford, whatever anyone believes with his errors and stuff, he'll always work tirelessly for the team. It shows the way Webby's kind of envisioning how to build up the Warriors overall, very similar to how Ivan had to do with the Penrith Panthers and bring that culture of just working hard and always bringing in the hard workers and that. But yeah, I completely love the captaincy. It shows the vision of the future, and I cannot wait to see those boys go out there for the first game, obviously in Vegas, with the captaincy, with both of them too. The only other question I have to this before I move on, there's a really cool question I got in the chat here as well. Your thoughts on, so they're both front rows, right? Probably going to play the first 20 or so, maybe pull off. If they both come off at the same time, your thoughts on that with the captaincy? Are you worried about that at all? Do you reckon RTS probably steps up in that position there too? Obviously being on the field for a longer period. You got Dallin Walker that probably will switch on around those two, and his leadership has stepped up in the last week or so. So what's your thoughts there, bro? Like, are you thinking that that's a little bit of worry or not really?
I'm personally not worried. Just with, like you said, Dallin Walker coming onto the field, we have RTS on the field, but also Wade Egan. I think having Walker and Wade, or Dallin and Wade come through when these two go off, if they're off at the same time, I think we have enough in those two to lead us. I think both of those two are very, very good leaders of this side, especially Dallin. Watching him on the field, pretty much as the only veteran, right? Last week in the trial or over the weekend. The leadership he showed, and I mean afterwards he was saying look, it was leading around the young boys, that's I'm a veteran, this is what I'm here for. And to hear someone speak like that and say those words was really man, this guy is a leader, and that's what we need, right? That's what we need when these two go off the field, is for someone like Dallin to step up and be in that space and be that person. And then obviously Wade he's just like he's controlling the game most of the time anyway. With with his deception, with the way he's running around the team. Obviously Metcalf is overcalling or calling what's going on if he's starting at halfback. But Wade's in there. He's seeing literally everything, and he's defending in the middle. And if there's no respect, there can't be more respect for like a guy like Wade Egan, who's put his body on the line for us for what, like 3-4 years now.
Brother,
there can't be more needed than that. But just one more thing, I would hate to stand across in the other team from Fish and Barnett as the captains, bro. Like,
I know that was my first thought, bro. Honestly, like, can you imagine being another front row pairing? Obviously, there's incredible front row pairings around the rugby league, right? Like you're hearing the Broncos, Paddy Carrigan's probably going to be up front now with Payne Haas, but even before then, you'd probably envision them being like, pretty much the middle pairing in general anyway. There's a lot. Adam Fedor-Blake now going to the Sharkies, whoever he gets paired up with, Oregon for Kafusi in that. Melbourne Storm getting Stefano Tikamanu, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on as well. There's a lot of great pairings around rugby league at the moment, but I'm sure these two, with the defensive know-how that they have, the aggression they have in the contact, I'm sure there's obviously big front rollers coming off that plane and going, oh, it's going to be a long day today. And that's what I'm really excited about, That's what I'm excited about.
Absolutely. I remember there's so many people that talk about the early 2000s Warriors and just being scared to get off the plane, coming into Mount.
Yeah.
That's what we're building again. I think that's what we've had last year with Adam and Barney as well. And so to see, even more this year is going to be, bro, I'm so excited.
It's the excitement, bro. And the other thing I did want to touch on, obviously there's been a lot of talk around us losing a lot of our experience within this preseason and that. There's a little stat I want to chuck out there. I just saw it the other day and it was a cool thing to think about. Like, it's crazy to think about too with the amount of experience that actually left our club. But do you know we're still the third most experienced club in the league at the moment due to like how many games and stuff that these boys have played?
That sounds wrong, but then you dive deeper into it and you're like, well, Dallin, Roger, Chance, in the back line.
Walker.
Walker, Fish, Barnett, Egan's over 100 games as well. It's like these players who you go, oh, that's real sneaky that they're that high up in games. But the players we did lose, I think, bringing in Fish and bringing in Aaron Clark and players like that, that's experience. That's not bringing in we are bringing in young guys, but it's not only the young guys coming through. It's these guys that were brought home who have gone out and got experience and are coming back. And so, although we did lose a lot of experience, were we number one last year for?
It sounds like it, brother. I don't remember reading that last year being number one. I think the number one team was Manly. Yeah, I remember we were one of the oldest and all that. But yeah, now we're the third most experienced team in the competition. But even if you think about it too, now the amount of premiership winners we still have we have at the club. We lost one with Tohu Harris, but obviously Sean Johnson never won a premiership in the NRL. Adam Fedor-Blake has never won a premiership from my memory in the NRL as well. But we bring over a four-peater in James Fisher-Harris as well. So that's premiership pedigree. We've already had Dallin Walker that won a premiership as well. Kurt Catewell's won premierships as well. So we got a lot of experience, a lot of big game experience there as well with State of Origins, internationals and all that. Not trying to, obviously, we did lose a lot of experience, great experience, and a lot of heart of the New Zealand Warriors. Obviously with Tohu and Sean Johnson, even Adam for a period there during COVID was a big part of our team. But again, I just wanted to throw that stat out there just for a lot of fans that were a little bit worried of the amount of experience we've lost is well, we were we were the most experienced team in the competition last year, most likely.
Judging by what we lost there.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. So maybe this is a little bit where it's a little bit more balanced this year. That's why I'm kind of taking this team coming into this year. I don't think, obviously, we'll talk about more of predictions and all that, but I think we're more balanced coming into this year. And seeing the captaincy of Barnett and, Fisher-Harris, all the premiership experience he's had, I think that's a perfect captaincy to bring us to the new era of New Zealand Warriors. But the one question I wanted to chuck to you, but I did see it in the chat, the top all-time Aussie imports for the Wars. So we got Price, Cambion, Maloney, Marsh. Any more that you want to add to that? Or do you reckon out of those names, I've got a name that I like out of that. That's probably going to throw people, but yeah.
Well, Steve Price was my, one of the ones that I thought was the most important signings for the Warriors all time. Especially it was 05, 06, something like that. And so, for him to come over and be that, like be that guy, be the leader of our pack, just like
Yep.
transformed us almost in that late 2000s. I think Price for me is the guy, but also like Michael Luck. Not in there as well. He was like another guy, just would defend all day, you know, and him and Price, you know, kind of in that same era. That was what was bringing us up. That was what was helping us, you know, do the things we did in that era. I was a bit too young to watch like Campion and Marsh, and I thought if Maloney stayed another couple of years, we would have won something.
Yeah, he always he brings like, you know, victories. Obviously, James Maloney, we would have got close to at least like, you know, winning a premiership. We kept him around or whatever. But for me, yeah, like, you know, Michael Luck, it's good to see Luck get brought up as well. Definitely a big one for me. Steve Price, of course, is like the first one that we all probably talk about, especially our era, right? Like, you know, how old are you, Joshy, my brother?
I'm 25.
You're 25. I'm 28. So yeah, around about the same era we came up with. But
eras, bro.
Yeah,
you're way older.
Oh yeah, a little bit, but hey, settle down, Joshy. But
Retirement
the one for me,
age.
brother. Retirement for the NRL, maybe, yeah, 100%. But the one that always sticks out for me, bro, is Kevin Campion. So I actually caught like the sort of the tail end of Kevin Campion, but one of my earliest memories in the New Zealand Warriors, obviously, if anyone knows my story about following the Warriors and stuff, you know, my dad's a massive Broncos fan, and obviously, you know, around the house, there's my dad, my cousin, they were all like, and I'm talking like top Broncos fans, you know, that my auntie had like memberships and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, I got to meet Shane Webke and all that when I was little. But the first game, I had another side of my family as well. So my uncle and all that, they hated the Broncos and like just like despised the Broncos, right? So it was one of those sort of households. And I remember going over to my auntie's place one time. She had Foxtel, the only one in the family that like really had Foxtel. So, you know, one of the things in Australia, Foxtel, obviously there's your cable TV like Sky Sports and all that sort of stuff, right? And you know, everyone was just around for a barbecue and obviously watching the footy. And I can't remember what night it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Campion and Shane Webke bashing on, and Webke was wearing the blue jersey and that. And I loved the emotion that came out of both sides of my family in that moment. And I was just remember Kevin Campion, he's always stuck in. And obviously becoming a Warriors fan later on in life, you know, Sean Johnson was the guy that got me over. But, you know, going back through history and how big, like, you know, Kevin Campion was for the early 2000s of the Warriors, you know, Daniel Anderson bringing him over, and he was one that really brought that professionalism to get him to that first, like, you know, grand final season, the minor premierships as well. So, you know, really, really big piece there. Kevin Campion, he's definitely one of my favorites just because I got a little bit of a, you know, a story behind him as well. But Steve Price is a massive one as well. Obviously being a Maroons fan, you can't go past Steve Price either, right?
Hey, bring back the Biff, bro. I need it.
We all need it, brother. We all need it. But I think that's enough with that, though. The captaincy, it's all set in stone. We're all very, very excited with that. Let's continue to move on to, we're going to touch on the trials before we go through the team list of the weekend and all that. And we'll talk about the whole news around Dallin Watene-Zelezniak as well within the trials. But we're moving over to the trials, bro. So 12 all, we go down. Oh, well, we draw with the Cronulla Sharks over there in Shark Park. For some Warriors fans, they took it as a loss due to the team that we ran out there at paper. But to me, trials are trials. This is what it is. I didn't really expect anything too crazy. Would have been great to smoke the Sharkies off the park and all that. But what was your thoughts over all the trials? What are the sort of names that really stuck out to you? A lot of times when I watch trials, it's more individualistic. I don't really look at like, you know, obviously there's a lot of drop ball usually. You see it with all the games of trials. You're going to see it all this weekend. Even no matter what team they're going to run out of paper, teams are trying to get cohesion in their lineup. So what were you seeing out there? What do you like and what do you dislike? What were you looking at with the New Zealand Warriors?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was a solid hit out, right? Like everyone got their minutes in, everyone did what they needed to do, what they turned up to do. I don't think like in trials, scoreline doesn't matter. There's no point in looking at the scoreline. If we lose by 30, okay, a little bit worried. If we lose by 6, who cares? You know, if we win by 6, who cares? It to me, yeah, like you said, it is very like looking at individual performances and how they fit in. I thought C&K and Egan worked really, really well together. Seeing them in and around the ruck. And, you know, like Chance being able to get into into those spaces and behind the markers, which is again like one of the most like potent attacking areas in the field, right? And then I loved when Tane came on. He's such a dog, bro.
He's a live wire, bro.
Tane to Opiki. Whew. He's gonna be one that we need to keep hold of, and I almost wish he didn't play well so that all the Aussie clubs get their eyes off him.
Agreed.
I went back a couple of I watched the game a couple of times after kind of watching it at night. I think it finished 11:30 over here at night. So I watched it the next morning. And I was looking because I thought our left side looked quite weak. And obviously, in a perfect world, we have probably Roger and Ali or Roger and Rocco over there. So it wasn't our top wing, wing center combo. But I initially thought that Te Maire was quite quiet. And I think I said that to you, and I said it in the first graders chat as well. And then it was CHT season for me. I went back and watched it, and just seeing the toughness he played with, and he can't control what's on his outside. He can't control what's happening out there. He can organize it and he can get it going, and he can put the ball there, but there's nothing he can do after that. And I thought the way he was tackling, the way he was organizing that left side, and then also there was a couple of times watching him follow through. I think there was one time where there was a penalty called, Metcalf gave a short ball to Capewell, and Te Maire was just sprinting on through, and at that point there was a penalty called. But if Te Maire got that ball, he was running over the fullback. He was running over Kennedy. See you later. But yeah, so it's players like that, and I think that's, for me, watching the trial again and just looking for those little performances. And then obviously the young boys coming on. I mean, Vaimonga, mean. Laban, mean. Siokali, we've got a boy there. So as they came on, and as they kind of took over the running of the middle, and or even some of our younger guys on the outside, the team looked solid still. And it looked like that warrior football was carrying on down through the grades, and it's just been kind of instilled in the club. So it was real cool to see. But that was kind of my takeaways.
Yeah, but I'll touch on Te Maire first because obviously you brought it up, and it's kind of a thing. It's I don't want to be looked at as maybe I don't want people to think that when I'm flying this flag for Te Maire that they think I'm a little bit biased, because at the end of the day, if Tanner Boyd end up coming in, I'm going to be flying the flag for Tanner Boyd as well and being a supporter of that. But for me, obviously everyone knows my preference to Te Maire Martin at 6, and the way I looked at that game is I do think that if you didn't rewatch it, or if you just took that game as in you're not watching solely what Te Maire does, you probably take away that he was quiet in that game. And I think a lot of that also comes to the unconscious bias. When you see errors or you see things go wrong, you think a lot of that comes from around that side. So you think left side, you think Te Maire Martin had something to do with it, where, also Luke Metcalf had a blunder of a game. He wanted to show that he stepped up in that Warriors jersey. And even in a stop-start affair where there was a lot of drop ball, a lot of errors, we couldn't get a full roll on, which is the way our attack usually works really well. Very similar to the Panthers. We want the ball in play. We want to continue to play our football. I think it didn't really help to show that performance too much at Te Maire. You didn't get to see a ton of touches. He still had 8 runs for 71 meters there. He had a really nice one where obviously Aaron Clark forced the error of Gabriel for the Sharkies, and he made that real dart through the middle, direct run. He got us into that 30. We ended up scoring off the back of that try, right? And I think that the moment with Te Maire where he didn't, pick the ball down and score the try, a lot of people would obviously hold on to that. A lot of moments where Bumpy had a couple of late ones where the forward pass and stuff, but the Sharks wingers and all that were crashing in really hard on us. You probably noticed even when we brought our junior halves on, how tough obviously the Sharks defensive systems are really getting into order. Fitzgibbon's really keying in on them to shut down halves early. So you see him shooting out their lines on our halves, and it shut down really quickly. So it didn't really allow us to show off the full motion of our attack. A couple of times when you did get to see it, I love that outside sweep play that we had, the open side sweep, where Tamade was playing in that first receiver role in a way, and then Luke made that real late sweep across. I think that looks really nice. Again, I'm pretty sure at the end of that play, I think Bumpy ended up throwing the forward pass in that one, and Gossi ended up dropping the lollies to try to put a grubber in at the end of that one from memory. And that's what I mean. Like, you know, moments like that where people probably point out the left side didn't click that well. I really did think that we didn't really have too many opportunities to show that full balance on both sides. But what I did take out of it, when we're moving out our own end, I enjoyed those short side plays that we had for Capewell. Even though Capewell didn't have his greatest game overall, I thought he continued to have a lot of work there. Tamade was going really deep into the line. Both our halves did that really, really well. And obviously overall, I think a lot of people are talking about Luke Metcalf's performance because it was such a big watch for everyone. And everyone wanted to see if Metcalf can step up to the plate while not looking at the system or the balance that was underneath him to allow him to play that type of football, right? And I think I discussed to a lot of people in the chats of, like, you know, the first graders chat, guys. Make sure if you want to become a member, guys, feel free, jump in. You get to jump into our WhatsApp chat. You get to talk some shit with all our boys over here, obviously overall. And, you know, we spoke about it a little bit as well. But you look at all the best teams in the competition, like, you know, Nathan Cleary always overshadowed Jerome Luai, you know, for a long period of time. A lot of people used to think Jerome Luai is the overrated one, right? That's the whole sole purpose of a 6, you know, in general. Like, I'd love to see more balance within the squad, but a 6 is that second receiver on that outside play. They're used as a second fullback, right? So that's just the way that attacking football is going these days in the NRL. You know, you think of Munster, like a lot of people, obviously, when Munster gets to Queensland, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, amazing. But I still see that many comments when he plays for the Melbourne Storm. They're like, Munster does fuck all. He's not even the best, like, 6 in the competition right now. But he plays his hand in the right plays and all that. And I think Tamade's got that about him as well. But that's just my argument for Tamade. And again, it's a trial, guys. Like, overall, if you're going to think that we're going to play our best football in a trial, you're going to see the best out of Tamade Martin in a trial. I think that we're probably lacking in that area as well. And it would have been good, obviously, if Tanner Boyd's fit and healthy for this trial, to see Tanner Boyd out there. But unfortunately, we're unable to see that as well. But I thought that overall, really good hit out. Again, your big names that you want to touch on. Yeah, Chance Nickel-Clockstag in that fullback jersey. He looks fit. And I think a lot of people also forget last year, he came in, he was hampered by an injury-riddled preseason. He didn't really get into our team by round 5 versus the Rabbitohs, I think. I think it was round 5 versus the Rabbitohs. Yep. We had that big win. And then he ended up getting injured later on in the season as well. So he had an injury-riddled season. He wasn't able to show his full self. He looks like he's cut a little bit of weight for me. Like, he looks like he's getting through a lot of movement. He's got a sidestep to his game a little bit more now. He's not so direct running. I thought he showed that really well. Ran for 179 meters of the best, bro. A try assist, a line break assist, 6 tackle breaks. Like, a really good performance there from Chance Nickel-Clockstag. The one other name I want to bring up that I think, obviously, Vai Moanga, everyone knows, played amazing. Laban played really well. Aaron Clark and Dylan Walker played amazing when they're both on. I really like that combination. But the little intricacies of Ali Leotoa's performance, and a lot of people probably also don't forget that out of everyone on the football field, the Sharkies only named certain amount of first graders in that side that are going to be in their starting lineup. And the one-on-one matchup that we had there to show some sort of level of first grade, ready, starting is Kale Iro on the other side for the Sharkies. He went up against Ali Leotoa. Every time Ali ran that ball, like, he's so strong upper body. He's got amazing hips too. The balance of the man. I continue to say he just looks so much like a young Jesse Ramian, the way he runs his football. A really good mate of mine pointed it out to me. I can't get it out of my head. And I love that. Every time he carried the ball, I was just like, this guy's an absolute freak. It's a trial. We didn't get to see a ton out of him, but do you remember Kale Iro having an amazing night at all either?
Nah.
Didn't really get the ball at the end of there.
I mean, it's Ali Leotoa, right? Like, it's the Ali effect. Maybe we'll start calling it. He was like you said, he was damaging, right? Like, every run he had, I was worried for Kale Iro, you know? I was worried for him because I didn't want him to, obviously want everyone to be healthy, but when Ali's running at you, that's second nature.
Yeah, and he looks fit, bro. He looks like he's come in. He's ready to take over that center jersey, and we're all waiting and seeing, that center pairing of him and Berry when hopefully Berry is back and ready to go. Unfortunately, Dallin, we will talk about Dall very, very shortly, guys. Make sure of that. But unfortunately, Dall, we didn't get to see a lot of him in this game. We probably won't see him for a little bit. But I thought Ali was really, really classy. Like just the touches, how strong he looked in contact. You just see that out in that football field. You can see guys that stand out, just the way they take contact, the way they run their football. And Ali's always been a guy like that for me, where it's just like, you know, you could just feel like something's going to break open, and give him enough time, he's going to break a game open. And I think a lot of Warriors fans have been calling for that for a little while now, especially under Webby's tenure. Like especially last year, a lot of people calling for X Factor. There's a guy like Ali in our side that we do need to fit in there somewhere, and I believe it's coming into the season. But is there any, obviously Sio Kali, you brought up Sio Kali, looks like he's put on a little bit of muscle, coming into the season.
He looks so big.
He looks good too, eh? Like obviously coming off the injury of last year, he surprised me too. Like him wearing a headgear and having long hair now, I was like, who's this guy? And I looked at the numbers. Oh, Sio, that's crazy. Yeah. But solid in contact too, bro. That's the big thing. Like, you know, he looked mean, bro. Obviously a lot of talk around us looking for outside backs, Dallin going down. We'll talk about Tane Tuapiki as well. But Sio Kali, future-wise, he's an option there. He's got good speed out on the outside, good X factor, a strong body as well. Like your thoughts on Sio's performance you just touched on before?
Yeah, I think because he came on, I think just into the second half, it was a little bit in there, and made an impact straight away. He was so strong running the ball. It was like he's freaky, you know. He's like it's crazy to see what we've been brewing and what is coming up through our system. That Agreed. Like, you know, we talk about the excitement of, you know, Kahu Kappa in a few years, and, you know, all of, like Ali Leatawa now. It's like there's that guy in the middle, Sio Kali, and he is going to be like a really, really damaging center, and I can see him pairing with Ali Leatawa if, you know, or like Rocco or you know, whoever's around, right? I can see him doing more than a job. You know, you talk about you just want, you know, a backup or a replacement to do a job. I can see him doing way more than a job and being someone that it's like hard to get them out of the team once they're in there, you know, which is what we want. Agreed. That's why we're, you know, developing all these players, is so that we can get to the point where like we go, oh, well, you know, who do we keep? Who can we keep? How, like, you know, it doesn't like I'm excited for us to get to that point. And it starts with performances like this, and it starts with kids like this who are coming in and taking their opportunity and running hard and doing that. And I thought he looked great with Ami Tuanai outside him as well. I think that, like I said to you during the weekend, I said that's going to be like that should be our left side for Cup, and that should be that can stick. Just leave it.
I agree, bro. I agree. I really like that. Before you continue to move on, 5-star Alexi. Why can't I say that probably? Alexi. Thank you so much for the member as well. Appreciate you. Obviously, open up to, I'm not too sure what membership. I can't open up on the screen right now, but depending on what membership you get, you may jump into our WhatsApp chat. I'm pretty sure your first membership gets on the WhatsApp chat. So make sure you jump in and have a chat with us, you know, weekly. Everyone jumps in that chat and has a good old time as well. So thank you so much for signing up. We really do appreciate you supporting the channel as always.
Super coach as well.
Make sure you jump in that super coach. Tahi is leading the flag. He's holding the flag up for that super coach. I appreciate you, Tahi, as always. He's a legend, bro.
The WhatsApp chat, like I'm getting a rundown on how to play super coach. I'm like, man, I didn't even know that.
What a beast, bro. What a beast. The Clough stuff coming through with the Warriors just signed Lachlan Maranta to $1 million deal, 3-year deal. Could you imagine, bro? Could you imagine? With that question, obviously, or with that joke, obviously, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. So, looks like, it was a fractured wrist, dislocated as well. I did see with the NRL physio bringing up, this could be a 6 to 12 week injury. We're all hoping for the 5 to 6, obviously, for him to be back and ready to go. If it is to 12, that's definitely a little bit more of an issue. You're obviously doing the math. 6 weeks should get us to round 2, you're saying? Round 3?
Round 2, round 3, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So little break in between, right?
Agreed.
Now is like 4 weeks, and then so it should be like round 3 is kind of 6 weeks from now.
So Vegas saved us in a little bit of a way there, is what you're saying. Yeah, so definitely a worry there. But Tane Tuapiki having a performance that he did over the weekend, And unfortunately, like, we may as well just quickly touch on it because I don't really want to bash. Obviously, I made the joke earlier on the show, but Ed Gossey, right? Ed, unfortunately, didn't have his best game, and he has had this in him for the last, couple of years. Every so often, he would have an amazing game, but then he'll also get brought down. I think confidence-wise, he's on a down spiral at the moment. Hopefully, he can get his confidence back up in Cup or whatever's going on there, but you would probably prefer to run with Tamati Martin on the wing coming into this year for Vegas. Obviously, if Dallin's not ready to go, unless there is a signing coming up.
Wow, yeah, that's the thing, right? I think I would like Tuapiki on the wing on that right side. I think he looked really good, and like for me, this whole off season, I've been trying to dream up ways to get Tane into the team, and get him in there. And he's like, to me, like, just touching on Ed Corsi as well, he's not like, Ed isn't the mold of winger we need in our system, and that's tough because he's a good dude, and I'm sure 5, 6, 7 years ago he would have been perfect for us. We had Ken Malmalo, these guys, we had that mold coming through, right? And so Ed Corsi would have been perfect for that. And, I hope that he gets his confidence back. Like, I really, really wish Ed all the best in what he does. But it'll be interesting to see this week in the trial which side they put Rog. Because if they have Rog on the left side and Ed on the right side, then to me, Tane is starting right winger.
Yeah, agreed.
If they put Rog on the right, then I'm worried that it might not be Tane on the left side. I think they might go with Ed. But to me, I think Tane Tuapiki should be on the wing. He was so tough, man. He caught a ball over Sam Stone Street. Like, that guy's 7'10" or something like that. Like,
he's a big boy. He moves quick too. That man,
bro, is crazy. And so Tane, I think, like, the way, the style he plays, the running style he has is so needed for us. I think Levon touched on that on the weekend in his Sunday best.
Very good video.
And he was kind of talking about the way Tane runs and how he does, and even on the Instagram over the weekend as well, pulling up little clips of him and how he runs. I think to me that is the way we need to play, and I think having Tane on that right, he can be a substitute for Dallin without losing what Dallin brings. Like, obviously he won't be Dallin, and he won't be flying into the corner, which if Dallin flew into the corner, would his wrist be broken? Oh, nah. That's
yeah. Well, he's a free for all type player, right? This was always going to happen, unfortunately. And 100%. I agree with you, bro. Tane definitely stepped up in that moment that we needed him in that. And he's been doing that for us for the last couple of seasons, right? I remember that first game that he played for us against Gold Coast Titans where he had to come off the bench in that 18th jersey where CNK came off, and he had a great game in that one as well. And he's developed so far with his game. And guys, if you're not following Wise Up TV on Instagram, Levon does a lot of good work where I'm pretty sure he just chops up a lot of video there, and he'll go through certain things that he sees in the game where he does a second watch and a slow down watch. But the way Tane uses his footy IQ to really get his meters up and not get driven back too much by the defensive line. That defensive lines are stunted on him because of the way he shows that football first out. Like, he could look out, look for a dummy and go, or, just the way he moves, right? He always looks to his open, and then he comes off that right foot and he just takes contact a little bit better. He's still a smaller body, and that's the only thing I think worries a little, a couple of people out there, especially when we're looking at, a big bomb to come up and he's going to get off his back foot. Not so much an attacking kick where he can try to leap off that front foot and really get up in the air. We're talking about the one staying still. He's still a smaller body. He's going to have to really contest against other, bigger wingers maybe. And especially when we're playing, Fogarty coming up in Vegas, he's going to be putting up bombs in that corner, especially if it is Ed Gossey in that corner as well. So, I think Tane's definitely safer with his hands in that area as well. But it's still obviously cause for concern due to his size and, those sort of moments where maybe he can get overlapped in defensive moments, not so much attacking moments, right? But I think that he's definitely our best option. The other option you could run out there with is if Berry is ready to go, maybe Adam Pompey on the wing. If people are looking at that sort of option as well, more of a bigger body in that. Again, like Pompey does have a couple of errors in his game when he goes into that winger role as well. We've seen it a couple of times in the early days of the Warriors when he was in the wing sometimes and up for the high ball. Is that another area that you could look at as well? Or are you kind of negating that as well?
I just think we're past that. I think we need to move past, makeshift wingers. Like I know Tane's a little bit of an exception, but like to me, like Tane Tuapiki is a fullback winger. Like he can play effectively on the wing. But when you're moving someone who has trained at center and even last year played a little bit like second row in cup, to then go, oh hey, can you jump on the wing and catch these bombs from Tyron Wishart who puts up a mean spiral, or in round one against the Red like Jamal Fogarty, right? It's like to make Adam Pompey do that, I think is unfair to him. It's like if someone's trained to catch the ball their entire life, or growing up and even playing fullback or playing wing, like you're used to that. The only thing you've really got to learn is your sliding and defense, which is, in my opinion, easier to learn than catching a spiral bomb. Because you've got people talking all the time, but like with a spiral bomb, it's just you and this ball coming down at a rate of knots, and you've got to figure it out. And so I'd lean away from Adam Pompey, and even in that as well, Ali Leataua, I'd lean away from him. I know he's played a little bit of wing for like the Kiwi A's and things like that, but I think I think we need to move away from makeshift and start like putting in processes that we won't need to move people out of their natural favored position into something completely foreign.
Completely agree, Bella. I completely agree. That's usually my sort of mindset. There's a lot of people obviously out there trying to find makeshift positions to try and fit players into certain players. Like, as I said, I've said to you off air, I've heard people say RTS at 13, RTS at edge back row. I've heard many different things like that. But, like at the end of the day, guys, a lot of these guys grow up playing certain positions. They want to play certain positions, allow them to do that. We don't want to have makeshift players every so often. There's certain players that can do that and love to do that. Like we know Kate, well, if there's any injuries to a center, we've seen him move out to center and do a job there. But we're talking about a winger. And as you said, it was a great thing to point out. Under the high ball, if you're a center, you don't usually have to deal with that too much. You worry about your defenses, obviously your sliding defenses. But under the high ball, your spiral bombs, especially when you got some boys running out there and want to take your head off, that's a whole different type of ball game as well. Not saying it's worse or anything like that, but it's definitely a different bit of type of pressure. But it's definitely a good thought to think about. Obviously, we heard all the rumors that the Warriors are chasing it outside back in the market. We were talking off stage as well of players that we were looking at and all that. Is there any players that you're looking at the moment? I did say to you, like, I know the same thing. Like, the market's pretty dry, and the way it's going to have to go, I think, obviously, every contract in the NRL shouldn't be like this, but a lot of contracts are like paper. They can be torn up very quickly, and people move on. We've seen that with the Warriors. Is there anyone in the NRL that you think could, like, come to the Warriors and help us out, like, that we're chasing at the moment?
Yeah, Brian Tor? Nah.
I would love that. Imagine. No.
I think for me, the way I see it, we aren't looking for someone who's going to be like our winger or our center forever, because we are developing these kids coming through and bringing these kids through to be that for us and to be our future and to be our forever, like how Brian Tor came through the Panthers, right? Yep. And so to me, we either need to go one of two ways, whether it's a 1 to 2 year rental, and that's someone who's great. Obviously not like before he signed, obviously like Mulitalo, he would have been great. He would have been that 1 to 2 year rental who we could use for a couple of years, and then he could go back to Oz and do his thing. Or someone, a bit on the older side. But I think what we should be looking at is someone who is on the fringe and is maybe being pushed out of their back five, and someone who's looking for an opportunity to impress, and with depending on how long Rocco's out for, that could be that spot that they come into, right? And I think so for me, you have players like Jojo Fafita. I know you and I were talking about like maybe Tolu Kola, or someone in the back line of Manly, someone where they've got 6 to try and fit into 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed, bro. Agreed. And like, as we discussed, like off scene, I was like, my smoke, like not smoky, but my dream would be like, because Tolu Kola, what he's dealing with, Tolutau Kola, what he's dealing with Manly right now. You got Lehigh Helpuati, poking his nose up through first grade. Everyone wants to see him in first grade right now. They're trying to find a spot for him. Obviously, Tommy Talau, probably depending on both those two, maybe Tommy Talau coming to the Warriors. And again, Tommy Talau would probably be a very similar thing to what I was saying to you before too, is a player that maybe could fill a spot, but not so much be like the option that we hold on to, right? Like, or there is an option there if like, Roger moves on, he's got an opportunity there as well. But this is the sort of predicament the Warriors are in right now, is like, we got really good juniors that are down beneath that we want to get through, but some of them have a little bit more time to develop, right? Like Ed Gossie is the one at the moment that's been around the club for a long period of time, and he was the next cab off the rank. Under him, like we got new players coming over to the club, or we've got SG Ball players and Harold Matts players that are still yet to kind of find that level. Like Sio Gali's only just come back off injury, so we don't know like, how what sort of where he is in the pecking order, or what that sort of looks like as well. So if we bring a player over, we don't want anyone holding them back too much to be like, the starter. Like as I said, I would love to have Jojo Fifita, depending on the Titans situation, because they've got a decent backline they've got to fit together as well. And depending on, Carter Gordon and all that, one of those players have to like drop out of that lineup. Whether it is, they've got a young Tony Francis as well over there that's, a big body, moves really well, a little bit of X factor for the Titans that is going to find it really hard to crack first grade being in that squad, especially now Carter Gordon's over there. Like, we bring him over to the Warriors, I feel like a lot of time those guys are going to think that they want a starting spot, right? When we're fully healthy, we got Dallin Watene-Zelezniak that's still got a little bit left in his career. Roger's a little bit later on in his career, but he's still there, and he's still going to be a couple of years off, obviously, right? You got Ali Leotar and Rocco Berry, two very young centers that we put so much time and effort into. This is a position we want to be in. Like, if we get Jojo over and he steals a starting spot, and then we got a lot of juniors that we really like, we got to move on. It's probably that sort of situation. Or, does Jojo become unsettled because we bring him over to the club and then we're fully healthy again, and he's stuck in the same predicament he was with the Gold Coast Titans, but he's away from home now. Like, he becomes unsettled. We've seen that so many times with the Warriors as well. So that's sort of the predicament we're in. And again, I don't want us to throw big money at players. I don't think we're that club anymore where we need to throw big money to bring players over. I think we should, determine a little rights. We've got good juniors coming through. It's just we're in that tweener phase right now of a new era, right? And we want to see the future. Losing Zion was a little bit everyone going, oh, what's going on? But from what I've heard, it's a free up, so we can try and bring someone over. Yeah. But we don't want to throw Renato Mulatalo would have been an 850K winger that we had to bring over to the Warriors, and that doesn't sound right for me in the predicament we're in, right? Like. So I don't know. It's a real weird position. I don't want to have an 800K player in our back line, like in our wing position or our center position. I want that more in your your dominant positions like halves, or your fullbacks, or your front rows, or your proper positions that help you win premierships. But again, we are in a position now where, unfortunately, Dallin goes down. We got to put Tane in that wing role, which probably will do a good job. If Tane or Roger go down with injury, Roger had deal with injuries last year. Unfortunately, again, I don't want to bash Ed Gossie, but Ed Gossie becomes another option again. And I think a lot of people are going to really bash on him for that situation. So I see a lot of good ones here in the chat, like Jesse Arthurs. I definitely would love to have Jesse Arthurs back to the club. I absolutely love him as a player, but I don't think the Broncos will let him go.
He's
I don't know, man.
There, it's him and Dean Mariner in those wing spots out there with Katoni and Selwyn.
Yeah. And other players I've heard, just names getting thrown up. Jackson Paulo, that's for he's now at the Cowboys. I've just never been so keen on someone like Jackson Paulo. I think he could do a job, but I don't think he's grown into a first grader yet still. And I don't know if he ever will really. And I could just see him very similar to an Ed Gossie type, that he'll have a couple of errors in his games and Warriors fans will kind of hold it on to him a little bit more and his confidence will drop. So that's my worry there too. Yeah,
I'd love to see us try again with Denon Kemp, bring him out of retirement, get him back on the wing.
Kempy.
But we're equals now in the podcast space, so just get him back out there.
I will say that, bro. They just dropped the 8-hour freaking
Bro,
season preview, which is
hey,
crazy, right?
we can do it. We got time. I've got nothing on us.
No work duties for the both of us. I'll call in sick, but let's do this for 8 hours, yeah? No,
I
but yeah.
see the chat. Stone Street as well, but like to me, like
Sharkies aren't letting him go.
no way. And it's a little bit different now with like Mulitalo signing up, but I think that to me means that Katoa is on the outer, but I still don't think I don't think he'll get out. He'll be pushed out of that team this year. I just I can't see the Sharks doing that, especially when now is like their premiership push, right? Like this year is their year. They want someone incredibly experienced on that wing and to be out there. I don't know. Like it's a couple of it's got to be a couple of fringies, or we've just got to like stick with Tane and then hope we stay healthy, and maybe Siokali or like maybe MGT. You know, these guys that are down below, they can step up and fill that gap for us. You know, this year, and then next year when hopefully everyone's fit, or again Siokali, even Ami Tuanai, if they're progressing well and progressing really well, we don't have to look to the market. But yeah, you're right. We're in that in between stage where we're not quite at everyone coming through, and we're busting with so much talent, but we're kind of a step removed from needing to bring someone over on big money, like we did with Dallin in 2021. I think halfway through 2021, brought him over from the Dogs, and then like. Again, if we take that risk and pay a winger $800,000, which is again not us, it took Dallin a year and a half to start firing. It took Dallin a year and a half to start firing and putting these pieces together to become the player that he is now, and that's what I worry about spending big money out wide, unless it's like a Bryant or a Xavier Coates, someone who's like
that's going to be out and out our winger for like that's a long period. And that's the thing, bro. Like, as I kind of touched on before, is if guys following a lot of the junior leagues, like we've got players like Kahu Kappa, Compton, Purcell, like players that have got a ton of potential. They're in SG ball right now. They're 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds. Like they're not up to it yet. Like, but they're in 1 to 2 years, we could see them around that sort of like talk. Like Kahu's got that much talent in him. I know he hasn't had the crazy start to his SG ball where he's like scoring tries left, right, and center, but you could just see like the specialness that's in him. When he gets to that level, we're going to see him very shortly in the future. Same as Compton. Like if we have someone that's going to be over here for a couple of years, that's going to be in between a Dallin and a Roger and being in that New South Wales Cup, we're going to hold those boys out from playing against adults, and that's how they develop into better players, right? And that's the thing, they'll end up looking at moving away. And that's a lot of Warriors fans' worries too, is when we have really good talent that moves away and goes better somewhere else that we could have had, but we end up bringing a fringy over to fill out those spots. And like, I think this is a good little discussion to have with fans too, is to understand like, this is what management have to deal with, right? Like this is what like they're going through right now. Obviously, losing Zion Ma'u was a tough one, but they made that decision that out of the crop that we have, because we have a lot of great young forwards coming through, out of the crop that I have, unfortunately, he had to be the one to go to get an opportunity somewhere else. Maybe he'll come home, who knows? But, we didn't want to hold him back from that position because we're looking for outside backs. If we bring someone over and stunt a lot of the growth out of these other boys, that's the decisions they're going to have to make, and those boys might look for other like places everywhere else. So, it's a weird place to be in. I didn't expect it. It's definitely a worry to start the season. No Dal, expecting, 170 of the best out of the back end, a real hard running winger to pair up with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Tane Tuapiki definitely could do a great job and be amazing, but it's if Roger goes down, we're in trouble. We're really in trouble.
Yeah. Well, like just one more that's kind of popped into my head, because like I was thinking about like fringe young talent that we've got coming through, like anywhere in the league. Obviously, Casey McLean is starting for the Panthers this year. I'd say he would. What about Jesse?
Yeah, well, that's another one too. Yep.
Ties to New Zealand. But the thing with Jesse is they're like 19, both him and Casey, something like that.
Yeah,
19.
I think he's older. I think he's 21, I think, Jesse, from memory.
So he's around that age where if we were going to take a punt on him and have him, in our side, that we would want him for a longer time. We would want to keep him for longer. And so it's another one of those, does that stunt the growth of who's below, or is he fringy enough that, Sio Kali and, these guys can come through and take that spot and, have a good battle out there. And then for when Rog does eventually retire, which, at 32, there's obviously got to be a conversation. You can't, be 32 and go, I'm not even thinking about retiring yet. But then you have such good competition for that wing or such good competition for that center, wherever that may be, like on that left side. And so that was one of the ones that I was just thinking about, just came off the top of my head just then.
It's a great thought, bro. And to be honest, when we're thinking about, we're talking about all this as well, there's got to be there had to be a plan to start with, especially when we moved on Marcelo Montoya to the Doggies and bringing Roger to the wing, being at how old he was. I'm sure the Warriors should have had a plan of he's probably at his best, he's probably got 3 years left, and that's probably pushing it maybe. And that's if he's an athletic freak and he continues on for longer, yeah, great, unreal. But to be honest and be realistic, he's probably got 3 years left maybe at his max. And then within those 3 years, do we have so much confidence in any of these juniors that are going to be poking their nose through as well? Just playing devil's advocate to my thought before, are those juniors going to become something that we really think it's going to be, or we're going to get someone like Jesse McLean that has done it on a stage, has been really consistent in New South Wales Cup, looks like he's ready to go, but the Panthers are so stacked, give him the opportunity and he could become our winger for the next coming years, just because those other boys maybe not be able to go through. Those are the big decisions you really got to have to come through. But it's definitely a big watch before the season because, from all the rumors, we are chasing hard. And there's probably going to be news sometime soon, more than likely. The way the NRL goes, there will be some sort of movement somewhere.
You already know who it is. You've got your sources there. You already know.
Got no sources, brother. No news at all. But definitely, if I find anything out, it'll probably be a roundabout in that WhatsApp chat. Who knows? We'll see how we go. Yeah. We'll see how we go, brother. But obviously, guys, finishing on, Dallin out for maybe 6 to 12 weeks. Really sad news. We're all praying for the 6. But hopefully when he gets back and he's ready to fly, we're going to be all good, hopefully. And continue on. And this will all be forethought, but it's definitely a good thing to continue to think about. This is where the position we're in right now. We've got really great forward depth. I think we all can agree on that, especially with our really good young juniors. But this is obviously poked up a lot of ears to our back depth, and not so much fullback, not so much centers, because I think we can cover those places, more so wingers, right? And just covering in those sort of places as well. So we had to talk about it, and it's definitely a good little thing to talk about as well.
How good was it though, the Warriors actually telling us what's going on with an injury? Bro,
I know.
First time in, it feels like forever, we know what's going on with someone.
I'd love to know what's really fully going on with Rocco. Obviously coming out with nerve damage and all that sort of stuff. Well, that's what thoughts around Rocco at the moment. Whether how bad, not too sure, but I'd love to know how far off he is, because I've seen him now in video. He was in the last reel they had on Instagram with the group. So he's still with the group. He's still training. From all every video you see him out there, he's just got the bib on. So maybe he's close, maybe he's not, but we just all pray it's not like a Flegler situation, which is the worst of the worst, right? We're not there yet, right? But that's the worst of the worst. Let's hope not that. All right. Moving over, guys. Obviously, the massive news today, we're going to move it to... Hold up. I'll bring it up. Oh, my camera has died out of me, guys. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, guys.
It's all right.
I'm back.
Sidestep on the screen for a little bit.
This is what happens with live streams, guys. It always happens and always will happen. But guys, moving over to our team list. So this is Obviously, coming to this weekend, we go up against the Melbourne Storm at Hamilton. We'll start off with the top at that fullback position. We got Tane Chuapiki in that number 1 jersey. We got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and Ed Gossi on our wings. Ali Leotai and Eddie Iremia Turava in the centres. So sorry, guys, had to slow that down for a little bit there. Tamade Martin and Luke Metcalf in our halves jersey. Bunty Arfoa, Jackson Ford up front. Jackson Ford back. It's good to see that. Wade Egan in that number 9 jersey. Dimitri Vaimwanga in that number 11. Kurt Capewell in that number 12. Aaron Clark in the number 13. Moving over to the interchange, Dylan Walker, Murata Niakore, Leka Alasima, so good to see Leka back in, obviously around in the trials as well. Really excited to see how he goes in trials. Tom Ale in at number 17. Sam Healy, the saviour of last week. Everyone absolutely adored the way he played his football last week. Let's hope for some more this week. Tanner Dallas Smith, Freddie Lussick, Chanel Harris-Davida, Geronimo Doyle, Luke Hanson, Kalani Going, Moala Graham Tolfa, Sio Gali, Montu Basigala, and Jet Cleary finish out the team list for the New Zealand Warriors, brother. Who's the big names you're looking out for, you're really excited for in this game here? Good to see Tane in that fullback jersey. You're going to see him run about there. I think the big query is Jackson Ford and Dimitri Vaimwanga. I probably would say they will switch come game day. But could this be a thought maybe Jackson Ford will come off the bench as a middle forward? Is that sort of the thought you're going to have?
Yeah, to me, seeing Dimitri on the edge, like I'm seeing Leka Halasima hiding on the bench there. And to me, that's what I want to see, right? I want to see Leka big minutes at second row.
Agreed.
Because he's someone that I think we should be, really putting our all into this year. So I think, to me, Jackson Ford should stay middle. I think he's a solid middle for us. But I think we might see. I personally think the switch between Dimitri and Leka. So like last week with Murata and Jacob Laban.
Agreed.
Seeing that switch. See what goes on there. But it's an exciting team list. I'm really excited to see how Eddie Maya Toyava. Wow, that is a hard one. We were talking about it last week as well. And then even seeing Tom Ale back in, Chanel back in, and even like Geronimo Doyle jumping in as well. Like he's one of the like Auckland Rugby League guys into New South Wales Cup at the moment. Like he's kind of in between there. And so it's excited to see him get that crack. He'll probably jump into fullback probably in the second half, I'd say. But yeah, no, it's an exciting team list. It's weird. Like there's so many people that aren't there from last week, especially in the forward pack. Right? And to me, it doesn't seem like it's a bad team, and it doesn't seem like it's like a second team that would put out. You know how teams, when they're preparing for Vegas, they put out their team that isn't going. I remember Manly last year put out like it was literally the SG ball side pretty much.
Yeah, bro. It was a pretty deep sort of they were scraping the bottom of the barrel with that Manly side last year.
And so it's interesting to see that we're we're still putting our big guns out. I mean, we are leaving from earlier. I think it's like the 22nd we arrive in Vegas. In Vegas,
yeah.
Yeah, so we have a bit of time. I think this game's on the 15th, so we have like a week after that to really kind of rest, recover, and not have to worry too much about anything like that. But so it's an exciting team. It's not bad. I think it stacks up quite well against the Storm side, like judging by the matchups that are created there. But yeah, it's nice. It's a nice team. That's all I can really say,
I agree, bro. Yeah, it's going to be good to see a lot of these boys run out there and get a little bit of time in their legs. Some guys that missed out on last week, but we still got our first choice halves there with Luke Metcalf and Tamade Martin. Obviously, we're trying to build a combination there, so I think that's the thought process of Webby. You probably won't see probably see a very similar amount of time as what they did last week, bring him off with 20 to go or something like that. Tane Tuapiki, obviously, there was a lot. Obviously, he was in a squad list for the Māori All-Stars. Ends up, coming in now for the New Zealand Warriors. I'm not too sure if that's fully confirmed. Obviously, he's in this in the fullback jersey. Maybe it could be a late change. I'm not too sure. We got Montu Basikala that can play there as well. Obviously, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, but I would expect Roger will stay on the center, on the wing, because that's the way we want to play him this year. Obviously, guys, like I've seen a lot of comments already on the Instagram page. Ed Gossie obviously been named on a wing. This is a position we're in, guys. Like, unfortunately, what can we do? But I agree, bro. Like, I'm really, really excited to see, again, Luke Metcalf, Tamani Martin continue to combine in that halves pairing. Good to see Jackson Ford back. He's hopefully in for a big year this year, obviously to try and keep a spot with the New Zealand Warriors, especially with all our young juniors coming through and all that. Obviously a hard worker, a tireless worker. Just the errors, obviously, is a big thing that a lot of people were talking about with Jackson Ford. Very, very keen on seeing Aaron Clark and Dylan Walker again. I love that pairing. Aaron Clark starting off the game, he was so direct. I love the way he was punching through the line. And then, he didn't really chance his hand too much. But when the tied forwards started to be out there, it showed Webby that I think this is the way Webby's going to look at it in season. When things started to loosen up a little bit, chuck Dylan Walker out there for some tied forwards, and he made it happen straight away. Obviously, Vaimonga, a beautiful offload to Dylan Walker, tips it on to Charles Cockstag and got us over for the try. So I love that combination. Obviously those two switching off of the bench. Maratini Akorde is still named on the bench as well, so he could be a late push maybe for Dimitri Vaimonga as well. So that's another thought as well. Obviously Jet Cleary too. Good to see him go around again, and Luke Hanson. But as you did point out, we got Chanel Harris-Tavita, your man, Chanel Harris-Tavita. What are you expecting from Chanel? Do you reckon coming on in a 6 jersey next to Luke Metcalf, maybe? Do you see what are you expecting? His half partnership maybe with Geronimo Doyle? What are you thinking with Chanel?
Yeah, I think with Chanel, I want to see him play in the halves. I don't want to see him brought on as a middle or anything like that. If we're gonna, they either need to go half only, or hey, let's put you everywhere. Move him around the back line, move him around the forwards, try and get him used to everything. To me, the way the team is set up, it seems like he will be a half. And I think Tamaiti might come off a bit earlier, just so that Chanel gets reps with not too much of just the young kids. I agree. Actually, has reps, has solid reps with the starting, the starting players, and build that combination with Luke as well, just in case Tamaiti goes down at some point. And I think, to me, if Tanner was available, he would be there. He would be in that side as well. I'm excited to see Chanel alongside Luke Hanson and Jet Cleary. I think that would be quite interesting, seeing Luke Hanson and Chanel Harris-Tavita, the two seemingly best defensive halves in the world. The shots Luke was putting on last week was crazy,
unreal, right?
and so seeing him in the halves with them and kind of almost directing the team at that point, to me would be quite cool to see as well. Seeing he will most likely be our first drop. If Tanner is still recovering or something like that. So to me, I want to see Chanel in the halves. Maybe chuck him at fullback for 10 minutes at the end of the game to let Cleary and Hanson go together, just in case. I don't think we'll need that as an option, but if it gets to the point where Roger, Tane, and Chans all go down, we need someone. So
yeah, exactly right. Let's pray that doesn't happen, my brother. Let's pray that doesn't happen. But there's a good little comment here that I've actually seen this around comment section as well on Instagram and that. Jacko here, I don't get why Jet is getting game time. He's 2 years away from first grade. If you actually think of our halves depth at the moment, obviously Tanner Boyd's got the niggle last week. Chanel had the niggle as well. So if we're thinking our halves depth right now, it's Luke Metcalf, Tamani Martin is our first half pairing. theoretically, maybe, you know, Tanner Boyd could steal that spot as well, and Chanel can as well. Then under that, Chanel and Tanner Boyd, who both had niggles last week, so they got rested. Then under that, more than likely, our Jersey Flegg combination is going to be Jet Cleary and, you know, Luke Hanson. And it doesn't hurt him at all to be, you know, playing against proper first graders to get him ready a little bit so he can have a taste of it just a tad. Don't want to play him for too long. I think 20 minutes was perfect, or 15 minutes was perfect for him later in the game, so he doesn't have too many errors that are going to hold him back from his confidence, especially going back into like his Jersey Fleggs where he's playing around, you know, the 21 grade and all that. But if you think about it, it makes complete sense, because we're going to have to change both our halves out to bring those boys on, so that have a little bit of a taste of that. And we don't really have too many other halves other than, you know, Chanel and Tanner Boyd, other than SG Ball and Harold Matt's halves, and they are so far away from being ready. So they're those in-betweens right there, and you see it across the league right now. Like, you know, you look over with the Melbourne Storm, they got Keegan Russell Smith. That's you know, he's going through that similar period too. I'm pretty sure he's around that Flegg sort of teams or whatever. I think maybe he's a Q Cup. I can't remember where he's from. Yeah, so that's really that's trials. That's just what it is, right? Like that's really what it is. That's why we see a little bit of him.
If we're trying to develop Jet Cleary into someone that we can play and have in our team in 3 years, you know, 4 years, wherever it is, right? What's the harm in throwing him in open grade now, you know, against guys who are huge, who are going to, you know, target him because of his name, who are going to target him because he's 19, you know, things like that. And like, there's no harm except for obviously like physical harm in putting him in that space and in that situation to have to make the decision quickly. I think last week we saw that there was a couple of times he didn't make the decision really quick enough, and his kicks were rushed and things like that. And so if we get away from having him rushing, imagine how much time he'll have in Jersey, in Jersey Flegg in Cup to, you know, have that time to make that decision to kick that ball, you know, and that's kind of where we're seeing. So there's no harm in giving him 15 minutes at the end of a trial that ultimately doesn't matter.
Yeah, and like, let's be honest, like, you know, obviously it's another comment. If we have to play Jet this season, we'll be in real trouble, 100%. But, you know, the halves depth that we have at the moment, I don't think we'll see Jet for a little while. I think it's just a taste of the future. It's good to get him a taste to run out there against actual proper adults. You know, he hasn't been playing against proper adults all the way through, like, you know, playing through. I'm pretty sure he played SG Ball and Flegg last season. So he hasn't really played against adults, right? So this is the whole thing is, you know, he gets a little bit of a taste of the action, 15 to 20 minutes, not too long, get him out there. And as I said before, we've got depth there. Obviously the niggles didn't help. You know, we'd probably see Tanner Boyd and Shania Stavita be the other change that would have happened. They weren't there. This is the other thing, but we've got a little bit before we end up seeing Jet Cleary there. We won't see him for a little while. So that's just my thoughts anyway. But
I doubt we'll see Jet even remotely near the top grade team this year. And if it is like at that point where we're going to the free agent market, and, you know, we're calling Stacey Jones down from the coach's box before we're, you know, getting Jet out there. You know, we're at that kind of point. You know, obviously we have Tanner Boyd and CHT, but then under that we have, you know, CNK, Tane Tuapiki, you know, these guys who, you know, it's not their natural position, but at that point, you know, if we're that far down, I mean, we had to do that in Magic round last year, and that's round 10, round 11, something like that. So
round 10.
If we're at that point and we're, you know, getting to the point where, okay, well, we're needing Jet, or we're, you know, needing this guy, so many things before that have gone wrong. You know,
yeah, even Luke Hanson, bro, his partner, that's going to be his partner in Flegg and all that. He's going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. And 100%. He's showing that he's developing as well when he's played Cup last year. So he's still a little while way off. But obviously it's really exciting for a lot of Warriors fans seeing his name there. I do understand, though, you go through Warriors comment section, everyone calling for Jet Cleary to be in the halfback jersey straight away. It's like, settle down, like relax a little bit. But, you know, it is good to obviously get him out there playing against proper adults and first graders and seeing how he deals with certain things. So he gets a couple of things to tick off when he goes back to Jersey Flegg and Cup. But yeah, that's really the position we're in right now. moving over to the Melbourne Storm side, I'm not going to go through everyone here, but obviously the big notable names. You got Fa'alongo, obviously in that fullback jersey. He is going to be a guy to watch, obviously, in trials. We all know how damaging he could be. There's some familiar names in this lineup as well. Setu getting a wing jersey as well. Obviously, a lot of people would know him from New South Wales Cup, from New Zealand Warriors. He moved on to the Brisbane Tigers, which is a development side for the Melbourne Storm. So that is the reason why he is over there in that lineup there. Kane Bradley's played a little bit of football too, the other winger for the Melbourne Storm as well, so I thought I'd touch him in a little bit. Tyrone Wishart as well. A lot of people do know of Tyrone. The two front row pairing, Stefano Otikamanu and Lazarus Va'alipu. They're going to be a really good little pairing for this trial overall. Stefano's obviously got a lot of eyes on him coming over from the West Tigers, so I'm sure Melbourne are going to turn him into some sort of a beast like they've done with everyone that goes to Melbourne Storm. And Lazarus, bro. Lazarus is a beast himself. Obviously, Joe Chan, Bronson Garlic, all those sort of boys. Other names that we know, Nathaniel Roach. So good to see him still around about there as well. And I did see other names I wanted to shout out. There was a couple of Warriors boys, I'm pretty sure, in the Doggies unit. So there's a couple of boys running around there. Oh, I forgot his name straight away. But it was our old Tanyela Otakolo. Remember Otakolo? That was our hooker that was going to... He ended up leaving. I think it was like for not good reasons from memory. I can't remember, but he ended up moving on. He's still playing Q Cup right now, so...
Was he Western Clydesdales? Did he move there?
He was Clydesdales for a little bit there, yeah. And I was trying to find if he's on the Clydesdales at the moment, but I couldn't find him in the squad, so I'm not too sure where he's at.
Definitely was.
Yeah, and from memory, the Doggies still got... I think that's their development side in Q Cup as well, the Clydesdales. So he's probably still there, to be honest. But yeah, that was the name I want to bring up. When I saw him, obviously I looked at Zion, and Zion was playing in the trial. Yeah, that's crazy. Then I looked a little bit down. I was like, Otakolo. Oh, yo, what's going on, brother? But there's some names, obviously, to bring out here. Is there any names on this list that you're looking at and you're going, yeah, definitely big watches. We've got to watch out. Obviously, Fa'alongo is the big one there.
Yeah, Fa'alongo and Wishart, those two are just... They're crazy, right? Like Tyron Wishart last year stepping in for Munster while he was out, and the Storm didn't even get remotely close to skipping a beat. They were exactly the same. I read Mitchell Jennings as Michael Jennings, and I got really worried.
Good on Michael
I was
Jennings.
like, I thought he was on the Roosters. What's going on?
Well, shout out to Mitchell Jennings too, bro. My Mrs. sister is good friends with him as well. He's from Sunny. I'm pretty sure he's a Sunny Coast Falcon. So shout out to Mitchell Jennings.
Yeah, bro. And then seeing Stefano there, I mean, it's one of those guys that you just get, like when you bring someone along, you're putting them in for as many reps as they can in your team, in your system, right? And so to have him come through and be in this game wasn't a surprise to me. I think I was surprised at the lack of first grade talent. I thought they'd put a couple more boys out there, especially in the back row. But then again, they're traveling over to Hamilton, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. So I see Morgan Harper there as well.
That's a name that slipped my eye. Yeah. Good pickup.
I only saw that like 5 minutes before the stream. I was like, whoa, how did he get down there? But I mean, that could be a resurgence for him, obviously, after the seeing, what was it, Talakai run over? Super Talakai.
He will never forget that day, will he, bro? Everyone remembers him for that one day.
Oh man, seeing him run over Harper too many times was almost killed his career, right? So it's good to see him. I think was he at the Eels last year or something like that, and so he's obviously gone down to the Storm, trying to bounce around, find a home. But that'll be a good backup for them in the long run.
For sure, brother.
But yeah.
For sure, brother, for sure. Yeah, I think we touched on it fairly well, guys. If you got any thoughts or any players that you're curious on, make sure you chuck it in the chat or the comment section if you're watching this after the show finishes. Lastly, bro, you got any more questions, obviously, with the team list here before we continue to move on? Where Sam Healy offered last week, obviously, I'm really, really excited to see if he can continue on what he did from last week. Tanner Smith, I want to see a lot more out of him being a junior we got coming through, but have we pretty much touched on every bit of your team list that you're excited for coming into this game?
Yeah, bro. I think to me, the way that our team's set up at least is like I'll see it on game day with Corsi and Rog. I think that's the only real question I have is Rog going to stay on that left side? Because if he's going to bounce over to that right side, that to me just telegraphs our attack this year, which is frustrating. But then again, if it's to accommodate Ed, because Ed can only play on the left side, then I understand that. But it's if Ed goes off and someone else comes on, does Rog move over to the left side to get reps over there? Because he needs to, like, if he's starting round one on the left side and he needs to build a combination with a center. We can't have him moving around, because that's what killed us last year, is the constant moving of all of our pieces. Even like from second row outwards, we had, it was like a merry-go-round every week. So as exciting as it would be to see RTS and Leotawa on the right side, like, to me, having strike on both sides is something that's really important. And so if we hit Leotawa on the short ball on the right side every time and Ed's just outside him running that line, I'm okay with that. Oh, there you go, T Mackie on the same vibe there.
I was going to say, that's another good little one to think about too. Like, because obviously we saw Leotawa play the right side in the trial. I don't know if that was to compensate for, obviously, Pompey coming on the left side there. If we see Leotawa on the left side with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, would that maybe open the door to maybe Rocco is close to coming back? Would that like excite a lot of people maybe a little bit? I don't want to get everyone excited or anything, but could that be another thing? Because, obviously seeing Eddie Iamira and Ed Gossi, maybe they could play on the opposite side. Then again, I've seen Roger play a lot more right side than Ed from memory. But yeah, if Ali Leotawa and Roger were on that left side together, that probably opens up the door of maybe Rocco is a lot closer to coming back than what maybe was first thought.
Yeah, definitely. I think to me, that's the combo I would hope for by the end of the season, with, say, Rocco is coming back. Going into the finals, if we make it there, but we're going to make the grand final, but having CNK at the back, our wings be Dallin on the right and Roger on the left, and then Berry next to Dallin, because that is a fire combo. That combo is perfect. And then on the left side have Leotawa, and so have our shape on the right side and have our strike on the left side. I think that's kind of how we need to attack this season and where we need to go. It's at that point it's Temaidi. That brings more for Temaidi, like we were saying before, with the 4-on-4s. The way Temaidi isolates the halves onto Kurt Capewell, and even being able to get that early ball out on the left to Leotawa to take on a centre one-on-one. That's something that I think will be important for us. And so that's the decisions that Temaidi will have this year. If they go that way, I think that's the way they should go on that.
Yeah, completely agree, bro. That's my dream. Obviously, backline is hopefully Barry's all good to go. I think that sounds the best, bro. That sounds the best. And I'm just envisioning, like, Leotawa's like, he can get that ball free as well, put it onto Roger Tuivasa-Sheck down the wing or whatever. Like, I see a lot of good things coming from that sort of little duo. Pompey can have that in him as well. But I want a fresh firing Barry. I think defensively that helps us a ton as well. And I think we lost that when Barry left due to injury. So definitely going to be a lot to watch out for. Obviously, again, guys, we want to preface watching these trials, understand they are trials. Don't look at too much of the scoreline. Obviously, if we get smoked like 40-0, definitely not the best sign in the world at all. But if it's like 12 or 18, whatever, the performance, look at individuals and how they move. Look at the fitness of the players. I think that's the main thing we got to look out for. Like, I think that was the main thing I was really excited to see with our boys last week. When I see Bunty Afoa come on and, he looks so trim and ready to go. He was actually punching through the line, really well and all that. I was just like, okay, the boys are fit this year. Like, they're looking really good. But again, seeing the Dallin go down is like that little scare of like injuries still are hampering us right now. Mid-game injuries too. I think that's what a lot of people are worried about. Like, you know, the Rabbitohs had to deal with it last year as well. I think they were the worst injury-affected team, but I'll probably have the argument that I think we were the worst injury-affected during the game out of any team in the competition.
I think,
right?
were we the second most affected last year with games missed? And that's the thing, right? The one thing I want to see in this trial, to the point where I don't really care if we lose, 30-0, 40-0, is if we get through unscathed and our players play solidly, play what they're meant to do, I'm fine with that. Obviously I'd be, mad 30-0, but that would hurt me physically. But it is what it is. That's what we see. That's what that's where we're at. And at least we know going into round one, hey, this is where the team's at. This is what we need to improve on. But for me, when watching trials, I try and pick out the players that I want to see work their way into the 17, because obviously the players that are going to be there week after week. Like Luke Metcalf and Tamati Martin, like Wade Egan, like Fish and Barnett. These players that we know are going to be there. Kurt Capewell, I didn't even realize he dropped the ball 4 times because I wasn't really watching him, or 3 times, or however many times he dropped the ball. And to me, his performance in the trial doesn't matter because he's someone we can rely on. He's someone that can be there and be consistent. It's those ones that are going to, make a push for the team and be trying to get into that 17 that I'm excited for. So I'm looking at Lecker. I'm looking at Dimitrik, who is pretty much nailed on now after last week. I'm looking at, I'm looking at Tane. I'm looking at these guys who, like Sam Healy, these guys that can push into our 17 and be there. But it's about to me, how they fit in is dependent on how they play in this trial. And so those are like, I'll write down names at the start, and I did that last week as well. Like I'll write down names at the start of who I want to see play well, and then I missed things like Tamati Martin and Kurt Capewell because I wasn't paying attention.
Really focusing. Yeah.
And when it comes back to like, oh well, okay, I must go watch them. I must go see what's up, and then go, oh well, okay, I didn't see that because I just thought they played bad because I didn't notice them or something like that. So that's what I would. That's what I would say. That's what I would do. I'd pick people that you want to see do well, and pick some that you're expecting to do well, but aren't mainstays in the team. That's my advice, at least.
And I think the one I was like really the way I kind of gone into this trial, the last week's trial, was I wanted like a tick list of what I wanted to see from our boys. So like goal line defense, obviously the first like motion with Thomas Hazel to go over was fairly disappointing. But that came from like, deception from the ruck and, Fish getting caught up there and our A defender, a little bit of distance there. We fixed that up fairly quickly. But then watching our like goal line defense, I loved our inside pressure. I said that so many times in that the WhatsApp chat, but our inside pressure from our forwards, and that come from like, I don't want to say solely wholly like, Fish is bringing that to the club, but that's one thing we lacked last year, especially when we got big forwards like, Adam Fanor-Blake and, Tohu when he's getting older, and that a lot of their, motion to get up in the line and like be that inside pressure for the halfback and cause that halfback to pass the ball a little bit earlier, and just allowed our boys to just slide off, get in front, and really shut down on certain plays. Obviously the Sharkies didn't throw a lot at us, but I did believe that, a lot of the times when we're throwing up that inside pressure, we were stopping a lot of their attack as well. And so a lot of their outside men didn't get a lot of the ball. Like Sam Stonestreet, he's an incredible winger. Like we've seen him cup teams left, right, and center, but unable to do so in that game because he didn't get the ball. And a lot of that came back from our inside pressure came really hard. They had to turn the ball back under, and we just went for our set that way, right? So that was one tick for me. The other one obviously was Luke Metcalf. Can Luke Metcalf get us around the park and kick us into the right things? Like I could say stats. I've looked so deeply into Luke Metcalf playing 7. I went all the way back to his New South Wales under-18s when he played number 7, when he was highly touted as a number 7 growing up. I looked at all that, his kick meters in those times, like New South Wales Cup, all the times he played 7 for Newtown Jets. I seen he can kick over that 350 mark, and I was like, that's solid. We can deal with that. In 2021, he was the tied first best halfback for 40-20s in the competition as well, which is a lot of people didn't know as well. Kicked a 40-20 in that game. I've seen him do that in the Warriors jersey in New South Wales Cup against the Rabbitohs. I was like, yeah, all right, he's got that. I just need to see him get the team around the park. So there was a tick there. And then everything else on the back of that is just fitness. I want to see fitness. I want to see contact. And, the more we come into when we get into actually proper, first like grade, actually in the season, the boys will ramp up the intensity, and then the ball starts to stick a little bit. The boys are actually, wrestling over in contacts. Like, I think Mitch Barnett obviously brought it up in the broadcast after. He kind of wished we were a bit more aggressive in the ruck. He did it one time where he had like a knee on in jiu-jitsu, and that's like a knee on belly, but he had it in the back of the rib cage on one of the boys there holding him down. Like, he wanted more of that, but it's a trial, and some boys obviously there were a little bit less intensity in certain moments. So those are the things you'll see in actual proper games and proper game speed. You'll see proper contact, proper speed, proper line speed, but you want to see fitness first of all. So trials are trials. And I wanted to point out also, Jacko here, give us a little bit of a history lesson as well, 10 years ago also. And trials mean very little. 2014, we beat the Broncos 50-zip, and then Elliott was fired within 2 months later. Yeah, exactly. Poor Matt Elliott. The old days, yeah.
Poor us, bro.
Poor us, bro. All right, guys, we've been on for about an hour and a half. Quickly, before we let Joshy go, I jump off as well. I wanted to jump over to the junior grades. If you did get to see my videos on Wise Up TV, guys, this is a bit, it will be a lot more deep diving, I guess, comparatively what we're going to be talking about right now. But we did get to play against the Penrith Panthers in our Harold Matts at SG Ball. Did you get to watch a little bit out of it over the weekend, Joshy, or you missed it?
Yeah. I watched watched a little bit of the Mets game.
Yep. The best game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, man, glad I picked that one. And then I watched Warriorholic did the breakdown, the breakdown of both of those on his TikTok. So I was mashing that, and then just watched the highlights, which again, highlights for our game, not so highlights for highlights for the Mets game, not so much for the SG Ball game. But yeah, I mean that Panthers SG Ball side is stacked, so I wasn't surprised seeing that result. But I was really, really impressed with our Mets team. The similarity, I think, in the how the last try was scored to a game last year.
Where Short Ball put it up on Instagram. Yeah, great, right?
That was insane. But no, it was a good game, and just another great step forward for us.
Yeah, for our juniors, bro. Like, I'm really excited. Obviously, our Harold Matts got the win over the Penrith Panthers, 22-20. A really good game overall. We obviously got the win right at a dying stage. To start off the game, we went out to a 10-0 lead. We looked really dominant, right? Then we gave the Panthers a little bit of a sniff with a couple of errors, a couple of, calls that didn't really go our way. We were ill-disciplined in some areas as well. Being younger boys is what happens in junior grades, right? Like, anyone that knows, watching, footy all the way up to New South Wales Cup, you're going to have a lot of errors. You're going to have a lot of penalties. It's just the way things are until they get to first grade, that everything cleans up. But other big names I want to shout out. Obviously, the man that scored the game-winning try, he was incredible in the game as well. Ronan Byford, I thought it was really, really solid. Bishop Neal is a big watch for everyone in our Harold Matts. He's definitely like a big body edge back roller that, everyone's just everyone's seen him and gone, yeah, all right, he's the one to watch. He looks at it, he's damaging. He's really good on that edge. Didn't get to score a try in this game, but, he's so solid. He scored a try last week against Manly. The McKaylee brothers, Lucian McKaylee, I really enjoyed his game, scoring a try in this game as well, putting off a massive shot. As Joshy pointed out, go check out the Warriorholic as well, guys. He obviously puts out a lot of videos on our junior development and all that. Go make sure you support all our Warriors content creators out there. But, he put on the shot over the weekend. He ended up catching, it was a little bit of head clash as well. So, hope he's doing well. Tyson Hanson had a really solid game in this one. His first game, I thought that he played well, but he didn't get a lot of the ball. But in this game, he took over. He had a try assist for the first try to Caleb Fideau. He's definitely a big, keen watch. And Jeremiah Lamana, a guy I didn't point it out in the video. I kind of wish I did, because he's definitely an exciting prospect we have at fullback in Harold Matts. Keep an eye out on him. He's definitely really quick. Every time he touches the ball, it looks like, a defender's eyes light up. And I wish he gets a little bit more of the line share of the ball, especially at the back plays. But, that will grow a little bit more. But 22-20 over the Penrith Panthers. A good little win there. I'm so sorry, guys. My voice is dying again. And to finish off, we had the Penrith Panthers beating us in the SG Ball 28-8. as Josh did point out, this Penrith Panthers SG Ball side is really, really solid. Big notable names in it is the Lamoto boys. You got like Heinz Lamoto, who has a massive wrap over him. Big body out there in the edge back rower. But we got a lot of good boys there too to watch out for. Noah Jensen's been really good in that 5'8 jersey. Kahu Kappa's a big name we all know. But Compton Purcell was a lot of... Oh, fuck. I'm dying here. We're nearly ending, guys. We're nearly at the end. Compton Purcell, he had probably the best game out of a lot of these boys here. Obviously scoring that big try, out of that, scrum play, pumping a couple of boys off, sprinting down the field. Definitely an incredible watch. If you go check him out on Waraholic, make sure you go check it out. But guys, because I'm dying right now, make sure you go check out the video that I put it up on Wires Up TV as well if you want to get a little bit more in depth of everything going on. But with that being said, brother, that is us. Anything more before we leave, bro? Or do you want me to die here on stream? Or
well, yeah, like how close are you? Like how close are you to dying? Do you need some water? Like, don't,
bro. I drank all my drink before, man.
No, I think you wrapped it up real nice. I think to me the standout in that SG Ball game was Compton Purcell. What a rugby league name, by the way. Like I can't imagine that being like a banker or something like that. Like he's a rugby league boy through and through from birth. So I'm excited to see the progression that he has. And I liked what you said in the video as well. Not to spoil it for everyone that's going to click off this and go and watch your video. But the way we use Kahu and that he, for him to learn, not that everything has to be done through him, but that he can, use what ball he gets and not have to command more. Like they talk about how, Katoni Staggs, like he wasn't running the ball enough and he wasn't doing this enough. And then when he did run the ball lots, it was like, okay, that's a bit too much. It's about finding that sweet spot. It's about, getting the right amount of runs per game and the right amount of, the way he hits the hole, the way he, is coming under, however he's playing. It's about getting that right and getting that effective so that when it does come off, it's exactly what is needed for that side, and it's not overbearing and it's not underdoing what he can do.
Exactly.
But it's about finding that balance. And again, in the lower grades, that's not really something we'll see. But to me, it'll get there, and it'll just take that time. And then for him to go into the Jersey Flegg team, and due course, that'll be really interesting to see what he learns as a leader, and then takes into that higher grade.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people got to understand too is you can get very excited about. I spoke about a couple of guys that have got incredible size, they're incredibly big bodies in these junior grades. But what we got to remember, a lot of these kids, 15, 16, 17, 18, when they're bigger bodies, they can be so dominant and so imposing on that football field. But as soon as you get to New South Wales Cup and that, you're playing against adults, and that's where you get found out if you're a big body. You need technique behind you. And it's good to see a lot of our Warriors boys have a lot of good technique behind them as well. Very similar to these Panthers boys I was just speaking on. So those are definitely things you got to watch out for. And as you said with Kahu, it's just at the end of the day, it's all stuff he's got to learn. And he's still an incredible talent. We all know it. Again, I still think he played a good game out there. I don't think he played a bad game at all. But these are all little things that will turn him to an absolute superstar for the future. And I'm sure he knows that for sure. I'm sure everyone, the coaches obviously know that for sure as well. But
absolutely,
yeah. Thank you for that, my brother. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming through the Wires Up TV. Make sure if you just missed out on the show, guys, if you're just tuning in now as we're leaving or whatever, go rewatch it. It's able to do so. That's a great thing about YouTube. Also, go check out my junior development video, all our other videos that we got up on Wires Up TV. Go subscribe to, go follow Levon on Instagram as well if you want to go see updates on our trials and stuff like that. And also, if you become a member, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support. Obviously, make sure you jump into our Supercoach League and make sure you jump into our WhatsApp group because that is going absolutely fire at the moment. And we do appreciate all the support from everyone out there. Thank you so much, guys. Joshy, before we go, actually, I know you're a big man on X at the moment, all that sort of stuff. Do you want to chuck out your following? Where can people find you?
So I'm King Hill with 2 I's in King, so Kiing and then Hill.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm on X if you want to see me tweet through the game. about how the refs are calling us for the roll ball, but not the other team. Like I went back through and bro, there were so many missed roll balls straight after that call one, and it's like, what are you doing? If you're gonna call it, call it. But yeah, so if you want to see me crash out on X, I'll be there. I also, like I love to talk, love to chat. So hit me up, and even in the WhatsApp group as well. Like I'll give you my Chanel Harris DeVito rhetoric if you want to hear it. So
we love that about you, and you're such a good part of the community, right? The Warriors community that we're all building, and Wise Up TV community. Obviously, bro, what your third week in a row now? So you're a first team member right now, brother.
Well, yeah, I kind of don't want the 7 to come back. Like I don't want Levon to be directing us around anymore because like I'm back in cup. So I'm getting comfortable here. I'm getting comfortable in the seat. So.
Yeah, it's good to see, brother. You're doing a great job. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry, Jose. I just saw you comment at the end there, talk about UFC 312. I'm so sorry, brother. I'm about to die right now. But jump over to me and Brody show tomorrow night on my channel, Ash Thomas on YouTube. Go check it out as well. I'd love to obviously talk about UFC as well. And Eskio, Ash, can you start vlogging, bro?
Yo.
Would be keen to see the day of the life. Bro, I don't think I'm that interested to do stuff like that. I don't know, man.
It'll just be watching the Warriors game over and over.
Bro, that's all my house in town, bro. I just have sport playing all the time. My missus going like, why don't we watch something good? I'm like, it's sport. It is good. Like, sit down and enjoy the soap opera that's on the field. But yeah, that's just me, guys. I'm nothing special, but maybe I'll start doing stuff like that on TikTok or YouTube Shorts and stuff, especially maybe going to football games. Like, I'd love to do that. Me and my mate Brody go to as much football games as we can over here in Australia. And guys, if you come in a Magic Round, make sure... I am planning to, yeah. So this year I'm planning to come to watch the Gold Coast Titans versus the Warriors, the doubleheader. My Mrs. Cousins plays for the Gold Coast Titans, Ivania Polite. So obviously I want to see her play against my Warriors. Hopefully, the whole thing is I'm so sick of going to Vani's game and watching her play for the Gold Coast Titans and not be able to cheer the Gold Coast Titans. I'm just like, I'm not cheering that team, but I'm going to cheer for Vani. It's going to be crazy to see her go up against my side. So it's going to be like, take her off the field, bro. Take her off the field. But I'm really excited to come over to New Zealand, guys. Make sure if you're over around the same time, obviously hit us up and all that. I'd love to connect with all you guys out there. But yeah, guys, may as well go. I'm holding on to this for too long. Thank you so much, Joshy, as always. Thank you so much, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much. Make sure you tune into the next episode, or You Can Eat Warriors next week and all that. Or make sure you tune into any content we're bringing you on Wise Up TV. Thank you so much, guys. Take it easy. Up the Wise, baby.
Woo!